What is up, you guys? Teller checking in for the UFC 300 prop edition video, as promised, coming out to you guys. And just for future knowledge, so you guys understand where we stand, any type of major card that's on the horizon, pay-per-view events, all the big type of events, you're going to get a prop edition video out for me. I'll try to get them out for every UFC card, but I probably will miss some here and there. But for the big boys, the big events, you can definitely expect these types of videos for those of you guys that like to target these types of bets, over-unders, specific method of victories, and all that type of stuff. All right, we'll put together some long shot parlays and all types of crazy stuff. All right, so that's what you can expect in these videos. As you guys see behind me, Alex Pereira checking out his new trunks. He got the new fight kit trunks going on, and it's a little tip of the hat to his tribal lineage back in Brazil. And beautiful colors. I think it's gonna look sick when we see him step into the octagon for the main event rocking those trunks. Okay, and if you didn't see the other trunks that the UFC put together, there's the Pereira trunks once again. Zhang got her own little pair of trunks here too. With the red and gold and whatnot. She'll be looking good in them. She'll be putting in some work in the cage. You know that. I mean, one of the greatest women's mixed martial artists of all time. She'll be looking good in those trunks there. How about Max Holloway with the Hawaiian type shorts with the flowers and whatnot? That's going to be sick to see Max step down into the cage with these. So I would love to see the UFC do this more often. It's obviously not that big of a deal. It's not that hard for them to put these types of trunks together. I wish almost all the fighters had some type of unique type of shorts. You know what I mean? So hopefully that's something that we continue to see moving forward. Oh, and check this out. If UFC 300 wasn't already exciting enough, we got some extra buzz around the main event. This was a post that Jamahal Hill put together. He put a montage of all these faces of the prediction game of people that picked Glover Teixeira over him in his last fight, right? So obviously he was a little bitter there. He called it milk takes. And again, he's just poking some fun. But, guess whose face he threw in it? He threw a clip of the teller picking Glover Teixeira. And, I found that pretty funny. You'll see my face here in a second. I was looking pretty rough in that video. But I think that makes the fight even more exciting because you guys know I do feel that Jamahal Hill is very live to win this fight. I think it's a very close fight. I slightly lean towards Pereira's way. But the fact that he's kind of going this route, throwing me in this montage, it makes me really want Pereira to get the job done here. So it makes it that much more exciting. So there's even a little bit more on the line for UFC 300 as far as I'm concerned. I will be rooting on Pereira to get that finish. And, we'll be teasing Hill online if Pereira can get the job done there. And if Hill shows up and gets his own finish or he gets the victory there, I'll stand behind my pick. But you guys do know I have the fight capped very closely. And I want to say this very clearly. Even though I'm playing the game with Hill, I'll be rooting against him, and he's got videos of me up on his Instagram throwing shade at me. I want to say that I tip my hat to Hill for being the type of fighter and the type of guy that engages with MMA personalities like me, people here on YouTube, smaller channels and whatnot. I like the fact that he is just a very sociable person, and he's kind of been growing on me. I'm becoming a little bit of a fan of Jamahal Hill's. I like what he's about. So let me just be clear there. But you guys know we're playing the game here, and you guys know I'm a big fan of Alex Pereira, so I do want to see him win this fight. All right, so with that all being said, we're going to start working our way into this video. Just last thing, if I could say this real quick, please, guys, if you can like this video for me, it means a lot. Like this video so I know you like these types of videos and I can continue to deliver them. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. You can expect all types of this content coming your guys' way. I'll let you guys know right now, I have 5 official plays locked in for UFC 300. So if you want those, if you want to work with me, with my official plays, if you want those, reach out to me. I'll send you over my pricing. I'm telling you, I got some solid spots. I got some crazy value that I'm targeting, some big underdog type of bets. I got an 8-unit maxer, an 8-unit max play that I'm targeting for this card that I feel is going to be a walk in the park. All right, so I'm feeling great about my official action, and we got all types of things going on. It might be a specific prop bet. It might be a big time money line. It might be a huge 2-team parlay. All right, guys, so I'll put that out there for you as well, and I will not hold you guys up anymore.
Welcome to the show. This is the MMA fortune teller. Yeah.
The MMA fortune teller.
The teller.
We are not skipping over the first fight here. We definitely have some props to talk about. Figueiredo taking on Cody Garbrandt. You guys know I have some question marks in regards to Cody Garbrandt's chin. I do believe that Figueiredo has the power to stop him, even fighting up in the bantamweight division. And I'll also say this. If Cody is able to avoid being knocked out, Cody is a fight finisher as well, man. 14 victories, 11 of them via knockout. Okay, so that's another X factor in this fight. As we move over to a couple props I want to talk about here, I'm looking at the under 1.5 rounds, which you can get roughly at plus 160 to plus 150. I think there's some slight value there. This is the first fight of the event. You guys know this isn't going to be a typical UFC event. The arena is going to be filled off the rip, and I expect both these fighters to look to go out there and make a statement and just get things going right off the rip for UFC 300. I think they're going to kick this card off. I think they're going to clash. I think they're going to engage, and that makes me believe there's a very realistic possibility that we see Garbrandt slept, or also there's a possibility that Cody can get his own knockout, because like I said, Cody is a fight finisher. He does have nasty power. He's an excellent boxer. Maybe he catches Figueiredo coming in if Figueiredo's over aggressive and Garbrandt gets his own knockout. So I think there's some slight, I shouldn't even say slight. I think there's some value on the under 1.5 rounds, which you can get at some solid plus odds here. Another prop that I do want to talk about for this specific fight here is taking a look at Figueiredo to win this fight via TKO/KO, which you can get as high as plus 175. If you guys could see that here, it's available on Bovada right now at plus 165. The line's been bouncing back and forth a little bit, and I think that there's some potential value there as well. I think Figueiredo is more likely to get the finish here. I just want to say again, I do not trust Garbrandt's chin at all. I know some of you guys, or at least I saw somebody in the comment section saying, I don't understand why people are questioning Garbrandt's chin. He just had those wars with TJ. No. Okay, let's just go over it one more time. Okay, if you kind of forgot. Okay, he was knocked out. First off, the two DJ Dillashaw fights where he took serious damage. He was knocked out in both those fights, EPO or not. He was finished on the feet in both those fights. Then he was knocked out by Pedro Munoz. Okay, Pedro, a stud dude. You guys know I've met him before. Had drinks with him at a BKFC event. Awesome dude. I've told that story before, man. We were shoulder to shoulder, jumping up and down, drinking beers for the main event. It was awesome. Great dude. But I'm not necessarily that impressed with the striking of Munoz. You shouldn't be getting knocked out by Munoz. Okay, he had a wonderful comeback victory after that, but then he's knocked out a little bit later by Kai Kara France. Okay, that's an issue. Okay, I know that Cody was making a serious weight cut down to the flyweight division. That might have had something to do with it, but dude, a little guy like Kai Kara France should not be putting you out. France is a good striker, but still, no, you shouldn't be getting slept by him. And the way he was running in the Trevin Jones fight, I have no confidence in Cody's chin, and I think these guys are going to engage. So I might be biting my words or eating my words, if Cody shows up and is able to take some shots and dish it back out and get a W. But I think Figueiredo is live to get a knockout in this fight, and I think that the arena is going to be going crazy, and I think UFC 300 is going to be on the move as we just slide in to a lot of fights that we will see finishes in. Let's do a little pit stop at the next fight. Bobby Green taking on Jim Miller. I do see some value on a prop bet here. How about Jim Miller to win inside the distance, which you can catch right now on Bet Online at plus 225. Okay, I like the value there. Jim Miller is a dangerous fighter, whether it goes down to the mat or with his striking. But you guys know I have some question marks in regards to Bobby Green's chin as well. Again, I'm holding another fighter to the fire here. Bobby Green just took some of the worst damage I've ever seen in a fight. You guys all remember the fight with Jalen Turner. The fight should have been stopped 10 seconds before it was stopped. All right, this is a fighter that's getting up there in age. He's been brutally knocked out, 3 times since 2022. Okay, he's been finished by Islam Makhachev, Drew Dober, and Jalen Turner. He's up there in age. If you remember the way that he collapsed when Jalen Turner just touched him, and I know Jalen Turner is a stud, but still, the way he touched him and he collapsed. Okay, Jim Miller is a fighter that is very accurate with his striking. Maybe he touches Bobby Green. He could either follow him down to the mat, sink in a rear naked choke, or he could just finish him up with some strikes. And at the very end of it, you're getting some solid plus value there at plus 225, in my opinion. We'll take a pit stop in the lightweight division where we got Jalen Turner taking on Renato Moicano. Now, this one I'm going to kind of give you guys a little bit of a different type of target here, if you guys will. All right, it just bear with me here for a second. You guys know that I do think Jalen Turner is most likely going to get a finish in this fight, but as you take a look at where the line is on Turner to win inside the distance or to get a knockout, I mean, you're seeing a lot of high lines. Turner to win inside the distance right now, I've seen it as high as minus 175, minus 165. I don't see a ton of value on that. I think he does end this fight on the feet, but where I do potentially see more value is taking Jalen Turner to win a decision up as high as plus 700, because I have Turner winning this fight one way or another. I think that Turner is going to be the superior fighter here. I think he's going to be able to keep Moicano off of him as far as Moicano tries to drag this fight down to the mat. I think that Turner is going to style on him on the feet. Here's the thing, though. If Moicano can hold up and kind of hang on Turner a little bit and waste some time in that manner, we could see this fight potentially go to the judges' scorecards where Turner will win a decision. So, I mean, that's if you're getting a plus 700 line on Turner to win a decision, that's not bad value at all. But again, I want to be clear. I do have Turner winning this fight via knockout. I think he stuffs the takedowns of Moicano and finishes him up. But there's no value taking him at minus 175, 165. I wouldn't target that specifically if I was you. So this Kattar Sterling fight is actually one of the most exciting fights on the card for me. I don't know why. I'm liking this fight right here. I like the fact that Sterling's bumping up in weight. I'm a big Calvin Kattar fan. I'm very interested to see how this fight plays out. I'm interested to see how Sterling's going to look fighting up in the featherweight division here. So now there is a prop that I want to talk about in regards to this fight, and that is I've seen on DraftKings that Calvin Kattar is as high as a plus 500 to win this fight via TKO/KO. All right, to get a knockout over Sterling. Sterling is coming into this fight, coming off a pretty brutal knockout loss. I mean, I don't know if you want to say brutal, but the way that he was finished up by O'Malley was a little bit alarming. So he's coming into this fight off a knockout loss. He's going up in weight. All right, he's fighting a larger fighter here, a fighter that has nasty boxing, a fighter that has fight-ending ability. Okay, if you kind of forgot, man, Calvin Kattar, 48% of his victories have come by way of knockout. And, if you forgot about some of the big knockouts that he's had throughout his career, I mean, the beautiful knockout over Jeremy Stevens back in 2020. I know it was a while ago, but I mean, this was a fighter that was knocking out guys like Ricardo Lamas, Chris Fishgold, who Chris Fishgold actually had a pretty solid chin. I mean, he finished him up there in the first round, knocked out Shane Burgos. If you remember the Burgos knockout, at that time, both Burgos and Kattar were really hyped up and comers, and Burgos was the favorite in that fight, and Burgos was getting the better of Kattar, but Kattar was never out of that fight and got the finish there at the very beginning of the third round. That was awesome. I remember watching that fight at the bar. So just know that Calvin Kattar does have dangerous striking, and he could easily test Sterling's chin in this fight. I think Sterling may have a tough time getting this fight to the mat. Calvin Kattar has a stellar takedown defense, and as they duke it out on the feet, I mean, why can't we see Kattar get a finish in this fight here? So when you're talking about plus 500 next to his name, and I would definitely favor a knockout over a submission. So this is a type of fight where, not like the Bo Nickel fight, for example, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but this is a fight where I really believe that if there is a finish for Kattar, it's going to be via knockout. I don't really see the sub coming into play here. Sterling is a good grappler, and this would be the way he would get the finish. So I think there's some value on a plus 500 line on Kattar to get a KO in that fight. We head up to the main card. We got Bo Nickel taking on Cody Brundage. Bo Nickel is a massive favorite, like always. And I'll say this before we jump into the bets we're targeting for this fight, but I know that the fence is going to split us. I know some of you guys that are listening to this don't want to see Bo Nickel fighting on the main card of an event like this. There's some Bo Nickel haters out there, I'm sure, that are listening to this because I see you guys all over IG and whatnot. And I'm one of the people that's excited for Bo Nickel's career. I think this dude's a prodigy, and I think that he can go so far. And I love to watch greatness, whether it's golf, whether it's tennis, baseball, football, basketball, whatever it is. I love watching prodigies work their way up through the ranks and just to see how far they can push it. And I know that Bo Nickel has to be tested in a lot of other ways. I know he's been fighting a lot of low-level opponents, but when you see the potential this dude has with the way that he's picking up striking so quickly with the wrestling background, and then the way he's picked up BJJ with that wrestling background, the way he's evolved with his jiu-jitsu, the way he's floating on his back, just locking subs up. I'm excited to see his career progress. So, now, like I said, Bo Nickal is a huge favorite, okay? Just to so you know that first and foremost. Let's just see where the line is at right now, because I know action has been coming in on Brundage. We saw Bo Nickal as high as has basically a minus 3,500, which is ridiculous. You got to put $3,500 up to win $100. It's crazy. Okay, I mean, if that doesn't show you what the masses are thinking about Bo Nickal's ability, okay. But we've been seeing action coming in on Brundage. That means nothing as far as people sliding Nickal. I just think that has to do with the line was so extremely high that people are just taking a flyer on Brundage for something fluky to happen or whatnot. So, but look, I mean, you're obviously not targeting that money line there, but where I do potentially see some value in this fight, if you want to have some action on this fight, is I think that Bo Nickal is going to get the finish in this fight. Okay. Brundage is a fighter that has been finished often. Okay. Out of his 5 losses, he's been finished in 3 of them. We've seen him curl up and kind of give in certain fights, even dating to his initial stint on Dana White's Contender Series. He's coming off a fight. Also, let me note, he actually was finished in 4 fights, because they don't take into consideration that he was en route to being finished by Jacob Malkoun in his last fight, and then there was the shots to the back of the head and whatnot. But he was getting finished in that fight as well. So you need to note that. All right, we've seen him kind of give in fights, and I think Bo Nickal is going to get a finish. He's been an absolute fight finisher, and all of his action so far, even dating to when he was an amateur. So check this out: Bo Nickal to win via knockout. You can catch that as high as plus 140. On Bovada is plus 135, but I've seen it on some other books at plus 140. I think there's more value on the knockout compared to the sub, even though the sub is very live as well. But I'll tell you what, you're better off taking the knockout, because you're getting plus 140, plus 135 compared to minus 140 on a sub. That's where it's at right now, minus 120 to minus 140. You're better off getting that plus odds, because I think it's a coin flip whether he gets the knockout or the sub. And in some regard, maybe the knockout's even more favorable, because he's coming off a knockout victory. The crowd's going to be going crazy. I think he's going to want to look to put on a show. I don't think he's just going to want to cinch up an easy sub. He might go out there and really look to, if Brundage kind of has given up in there and he's shelling up, instead of just going in and sinking his hooks in and locking up a sub or an arm triangle choke, maybe he opens up, as the crowd's going crazy and wants to hammer Brundage down and he gets that TKO stoppage. I could see that happening. Also, as the fight kicks off, when they're on the feet, Nickal's going to be throwing heat just like he did in his last fight, and maybe he just catches that knockout right off the rip. We've seen him be very aggressive on the feet. So I like the Nickal knockout prop here, which you can catch as high as plus 140, plus 135. There's more value on that, all right, if you want to have some action on that fight there. All right, now there's 2 more prop bets I want to talk about. We'll be doing a pit stop at the Charles Oliveira versus Arman Tsarukyan fight, and then we'll stop up at the main event between Alex Pereira and Jamahal Hill, okay? So first and foremost, the Tsarukyan versus Oliveira fight. You guys know I'm very high on Tsarukyan, but the money line, a little bit too high for my liking. I don't really want to target Tsarukyan anywhere, especially at minus 240. But even the 210 lines I've been seeing, they're a little bit too high for my liking. I would really like Tsarukyan right around a minus 175. I'm hoping there's a lot more action that continues to come in on Oliveira. Oliveira is extremely dangerous. He's a wild card. I just had a post on my IG about that, kind of going over the numbers on Charles Oliveira. And just let's run through these real quick if you guys didn't know. Charles Oliveira, in fights that he's finished, right? Kill or be killed. In fights that he's finished, fights that he's won, he has finished 90% of them. 31 out of his 34 victories have come by way of finish, 10 knockouts, 21 submissions. He's an absolute fight finisher when he's getting the job done. And then when he's losing, he's been finished in 89% of his losses. All right, 8 of his 9 losses. You see Paul Felder dropping hammers on him, if you guys remember that fight. So we know that Oliveira can be a little flaky at times. He's a stud fighter. But the way that I'm looking at this fight is I'm looking at the under here. Okay, I'm looking at the under in regards to this fight. based on the fact that the money line's too high in Sarukian right now. I favor Sarukian to get the finish, but Oliveira is obviously very live to get his own finish here. I like the under. I think there's a great chance this fight ends before we hit the halfway marker. It was available at -125 just a couple days ago. I've seen it on some other sports books at even odds as well. So it depends what sports books you're shopping on. Right now it's -135 on Bovada. Hopefully you weren't a little bit too late to the party, but I've seen it on some sports books at even odds, and I think that there's some value there potentially because I just have a feeling that this fight is going to end before we hit the halfway marker, and you got multiple options. Oliveira might land a big shot on the feet. He can get a sub, or Sarukian might break Oliveira. And I just expect Oliveira to be marching forward. And our Sarukian's a tough dude as well. I think they're going to clash. Okay, so I'm kind of liking the under there. And then let's just go slide right up to the main event. Like I said, we're going to talk about this Pereira versus Hill fight. You guys know this is a fight that I think there's more value on the underdog in Hill here because this fight's really a coin flip as far as I'm concerned. I'll be rooting on Pereira. Like we said, we got that backstory with Hill throwing me up in his videos and whatnot, and I want to see Pereira come through. He's just an awesome dude and whatnot. But where I see some potential value, because I don't see value betting on Pereira. Maybe you could really argue the value is betting on Jamahal Hill when you're getting the plus odds there, which you're still seeing that plus sign next to Jamahal Hill's name. A little bit of action's coming on him over the last couple of days. I've seen higher lines than plus 104, that's for sure. I've seen it on some books at plus 115. So we're going to talk about the same type of bet that we just talked about. I'm looking at that under 1.5 rounds, which you can get as high as plus 140. I've seen it on some of these sports books at plus 140. It's plus 135 right now in Jazz Sports, plus 140 Bet US. I think there's some potential value there. I think that maybe I'll be wrong. We'll see how this fight card plays out. But I think a lot of these fights on the card are going to be crazy. I think this is going to be a fight card where Dana White has all the fighters hyped up. There might be some incentives going on in the back for these fighters to really deliver for the fans. Dana White knows this is a huge showcase for the promotion. And by the time we get to the main event and everyone's just buzzing and we already had a crazy card take place, this isn't a fight where it's going to be where they're going to be feeling each other out. That's what I'll say. Jamahal Hill is game. He's going to be showing up looking to get a knockout. Pereira is game. This dude doesn't back down. He goes out there and slings heat from the get-go. So I think it's very realistic that Jamahal Hill can knock Pereira out, or if Hill gets too overzealous in there, if he's just looking to get that knockout and make a statement, I could easily see Pereira catching him with the counter check hook or something like that. All right, so I think they're going to clash, and I think that we could easily see this fight end early on. So if you're getting plus 140 on that, there's some potential value there as well. Now, before we part ways, I have to throw a little wild parlay together for you guys. This time, a more realistic parlay than the last one. We're not going to be targeting a plus 3,000 type of parlay. Let's keep it a little bit more realistic. Let's hit this one right here. How about this one, guys? And let me know. Comment below if you guys are going to tail this with me. You can catch this right around plus 600 odds, plus 615 odds. How about we put Jalen Turner on the money line? These are all money line plays. Jalen Turner, Justin Gaethje, Zhang, Nickel. I know that Nickel's a little bit of a degenerate leg there at minus 2,000, but let's throw him in there. The line dipped a little bit, and he's getting a W. Throw it in there. And then how about Calvin Kattar at plus 140? Put all those together and see if you could hit a nice little plus 600 type of bet that could very realistically hit. All right, guys. So again, let me know if you guys are tailing that with me. Let me know what prop bets you guys like for this fight card. You guys interact in the comment section. Let me know. Give some feedback. What are the bets you guys are targeting? And let's get the conversation brewing down in the comment section. All right, guys. I appreciate all you guys. Again, I really appreciate you guys. Make sure you're following me on all my social media because I'm gonna have a lot of content continuously coming out all the way to Saturday night, and it's the best way to keep up with me. So I appreciate you guys a lot. You guys know that. All right, guys, have a great rest of your week. If I don't catch up with you, if you guys are doing your own thing out there, signing out, Teller.
Welcome to the show. This is the MMA fortune teller. Yeah.
The MMA fortune teller.
The teller.